Welcome to the Get Over Yourself podcast. This is Brad Kearns.
And I used to be stingy with how I spent my money on food, but it's like, look, it's exactly what you're saying. That is now an investment. And it's not an investment just in football. It's an investment in me when I'm 30 and when I'm 40.
Here's a little outtake from my conversation with LA Charger Isaac Rochell. After the formal show ended, this is me telling the NFL owners how to run their team and how to treat their players, and Isaac giving the insight about how NFL players should treat their bodies and treat their careers so that they can carry on and have a nice, enjoyable life afterward instead of get beaten up. So fun stuff and just a nice preview of many other great things we'll talk about in the full-length show. Oh my gosh, man. If I'm a team owner and I'm spending what's payroll, $100 million or $80 million, whatever, I'm going to have a driver for all 53 players 24/7, right? Because I don't want you messing around and you guys are young kids having fun. Maybe someone makes a decision that's not good, and same with your chef is going to come over 3 days a week and bring you meals all year round, and your massage therapist too. It's all part of the package because I want you healthy and at your peak. But I think we haven't got there yet because the management probably still thinks at some level the players are expendable, and if you get hurt, they'll pick up somebody else. But Mark Cuban did a good job with the Mavericks when he bought the team. He said, "No, we're getting our own jet. This commercial stuff sucks. I don't care if it's first class." And then he ordered like thicker towels in the locker room instead of the little white ones, and got recliner chairs. And that's when you're starting to get into treating you guys like the thoroughbred racehorses are treated. Yeah,
it's like it seems just counterintuitive, a lot of the things that are done. But you know what? I'm not writing the checks. I'm picking them up. So I'm gonna stay. I'm gonna stay.
Well, I don't know.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw that article about LeBron, you can Google it, and it said LeBron James spends $1.5 million a year on personal health care and fitness.
Yeah,
and it's like pretty smart guy there if he's making $58 million or whatever. So that's, I guess, what you got to think is take matters into your own hands.
Yeah, and that's what I'm learning. It's like, and like I told you, like when I cook food now, it's very like, this is my job. Like what I'm doing right now is my job. I'm making myself food to fuel myself. And I used to be stingy with how I spent my money and stuff on food, but it's like, look, it's exactly what you're saying. That is now an investment. And it's not an investment just in football. It's an investment in me when I'm 30 and when I'm 40. But people don't see it like that. And it's like, we need to just make wiser decisions. But it starts with the organization should be paying to educate us more on healthier habits.
Yeah, love it, man.
But we'll see what happens.
Okay, bud, keep it up.
All right, Brad, let me know. I appreciate you.
Okay, that's Isaac taking off, busy guy, back into the world of football. Let's keep breathing a little more. First off, this guy's too smart for the NFL, man. I mean, he's a football player, and he's got his act more together than a academic or a professional of his age. He's got the vision, he's got the big picture perspective, making the investment in himself to plan for his future. Oh, man, I wish him a safe and rewarding career with a long, productive life ahead of him. And I do mean that safety one of top priority. I'm going to do a whole show about, Isaac might not like it, but I feel like we're heading for the demise of the NFL and tackle football someday because we can't continue to tolerate the level of violence and injury to the players. It's a wonderful, amazing athletic spectacle, a centerpiece of culture. It brings a lot of joy and inspiration and camaraderie to the fans, and it's a wonderful growth experience to the players to be part of a team. I mean, it's the highlight of life for many young players, but we need to do some changes, some reflection. I'm hoping that soccer will take over because another wonderful team sport, which is a fantastic fan experience, fantastic athletic experience for the players, but without that massive danger component where the object of the game is to basically smash the other player. There's no other sport, few sports like it, I should say. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of overhauls we need in sports besides soccer rising up to knock off tackle football. Player safety, player health, as Isaac and I talked about a little bit. How about some consideration for fewer games, more rest for the players? Yes, they can all make a little bit less money, but right now the minimum salaries and the guaranteed contracts ensure that the players are fairly compensated. Still not compensated well enough in football because the career duration is so much shorter than the other sports. The team is larger. They have plenty of money to pay these players much, much more money and play fewer games over the course of the year. But when you're talking about NBA, where the average player salary now is astronomical, even a short duration career in the NBA can set you up for life if you're smart. A lot of athletes aren't with their money, but why not a 60-game season instead of 82. We had that strike-shortened or walkout-shortened season a few years back, and it was making for an enhanced level of competition, better health for the players, more exciting playoffs with players fresh and ready to go. I think the 82-game season, the 162-game baseball season, is purely an economic play. In other words, everyone's going to make more money if you play more games. But I think we have to put in a plug for player health and freshness. Man, Coach Popovich, San Antonio Spurs, was sitting his players. Remember, this started happening 3, 4, or 5 years ago, and he got these massive fines from the NBA because you're not allowed to sit a player who's healthy. You have to go through these processes and report the injury to the media by Wednesday or something. I know in the NFL you had to report injuries by Wednesday. It was for the bettors, the gambling in Vegas, where they needed injury reports, and they had categories like questionable, probable, out if they had a concussion or something. And they have rules and guidelines to ensure that stuff like what Popovich was doing didn't happen. And then he said, forget it. I'll pay the fine of $250,000 for benching my star players when we go on a road trip because I want to win in the playoffs. And I think they've had to shuffle the deck now and figure out some plan Bs thanks to a coach standing up to the nonsense and saying, no, my player safety, my player health is more important. Speaking of money and flying first class or flying private, the Mark Cuban example I talked about with Isaac, I found out from an inside source with their professional basketball team that the common practice, even though the teams all have private jets and can fly on whatever schedule they want, the common practice is for teams to fly home from road games that end late at night, even if they're going East Coast back to West Coast. They will get on the plane at 11 o'clock at night on the East Coast and fly cross country to get back to their West Coast location, ruining the players' circadian rhythm with an all-night flight. And then they're getting off these planes, going to their homes at 3, 4, 5 in the morning, trying to get a little sleep and continuing on with this arduous NBA season schedule. And I'm incredulous, wondering why they would possibly do this. Why don't they just crash in a luxury hotel in the town they just played in, wake up the next morning, have some breakfast, and fly home? And the answer is that the teams realized that if they kept the players back in the game city, they would routinely go out clubbing all night and not get enough sleep anyway. So they file these guys onto the airplane and take off because they're not gaining anything by keeping them in the city. Oh my gosh. And speaking of that, my friend Tim DeFrancesco, the former strength and conditioning director of the Los Angeles Lakers, presided over NBA championship, worked with Kobe Bryant, had a great inside look, and now he's doing his own thing at tdathletesedge.com. Fantastic website and videos for the latest, greatest cutting-edge stuff on athletic training. But he reported to me that when these players come in, they meet with the strength and conditioning director. He'll design a protocol. He'll do whatever they need to succeed. And he indicated that around 30% of the players coming in, the young players, the draft picks, don't care. They know everything. They're genetically gifted freaks. They got it. They're good. And they will pretty much not listen to the expert on staff designed to keep them injury-free and peak performance. Then he said 40% of the players will buy into the program. They'll keep their strength training appointments. They'll look on the whiteboard and do what's prescribed for that day. And then finally, that leaves 30% of the players, and these are the guys that go all in and will do whatever it takes and work devotedly with all the expert support that they have around them. These are the smart guys, Tim says, because they are setting their sights upon that second contract after your NBA, your rookie contract runs out. They have caps and constraints for what they can pay the rookies based on their draft position. So yeah, these guys are going to sign for $40 million if they're a top draft pick, or $3.7 million for 3 years if they're a medium draft pick, whatever. It's good money, but the real money comes when you perform and put up a track record for a few years in the NBA. Then you cash in. And with the new TV deal that happened recently, oh my gosh, you look at some of these numbers, they just went crazy. Basic, routine journeyman players are signing for $10 million a year for long-term contracts. And the superstars now, James Harden, LeBron James, are making upwards of $30 million for one basketball season. Well-deserved, man. Don't get on me. I mean, this is the laws of economics, free market principles. They're the entertainers. If without them, there's not an easy replacement, right? So that's why they're getting paid so much. Same with when you go to a Katy Perry concert and Katy can't sing, the whole thing's off. That's why she's going to make $120 million doing her concert tour. Same with Kendrick Lamar. We don't have Kendrick Lamar's friend going up there to replace him if he doesn't feel like it or he hurt his wrist and he can't hold a microphone. Anyway, so the players are deservedly finally making their money with all the great collective bargaining that's happening so that the owners can share it equitably. Anyway, with that kind of money, it makes sense to adopt a mindset like Isaac, where you're going all in and you're taking care of your body and you're treating yourself like the multi-million-dollar economic asset that you are. And it's so funny. I'm just shaking my head how these teams have still not come on board with the idea that these living, breathing economic assets are just kind of cast out to live life on their own, rather than my recommendation of assigning a private chef, a masseuse, a bodyguard for every single player on your team. Yeah, spend an extra $500,000 a year, whatever it costs, to make sure that these guys are completely well taken care of and kept safe and kept out of trouble. I will take credit for this suggestion. Many years ago, when I was sitting talking to Lance Armstrong after the 2000 Olympics, and if you recall, he was a heavily favored time trial specialist, thinking that he could win his first gold medal. Also a big favorite in the road race. He went to Sydney, and he did great. He got a bronze medal in the time trial and top 10 or something in the road race. But he was a little bit off because he suffered an accident about a month before the Olympics where he was hit by a car in training and actually had a cracked vertebra and couldn't ride for a while and had to do this intensive rehab, hoping that he would recover on time. Barely on time to head down to Sydney and race. And because I have a propensity for popping off when I'm around celebrities, famous people like Lance, I said, that's kind of weird that you are out riding your bike and you get hit by a car when you're this multi-million-dollar economic asset, the leader of a massive team operation. The U.S. Postal Service team has something like 50 employees, 20 plus of them cyclists, and then all the massage therapists and the trainers and all the background people, the coaching, the staff, all counting on Lance to win the Tour de France every year to sustain the economic entity. And I said, what about having a flunky with you every single time you do a bike ride on a moped or in a car, honking the horns, leading the way for you, handing you water, taking your jacket, being your guy to go with you every moment, keeping you safe. There was a little bit of silence. I was talking to Bill Stapleton, his agent too, and they were processing the suggestion. And came out like a pretty good idea. And in fact, they made that happen very soon after I had my discussion with them in the limo in San Francisco. Footnote to the story, this individual that was hired to escort Lance on all his bike rides and I believe do other stuff like fix up and tune up his bikes and just make things happen nicely right there in the inner circle. He was one of the first people to rad on Lance for him noticing being exposed to doping paraphernalia at Lance's house. I think they had a falling out over a business matter or something, so this guy quit his job and then spilled the beans and contributed to the controversy and the people coming forward and confessing and getting sued accordingly. So if you're going to hire a flunky to be with you every moment, if you're a basketball player, whoever you are, make sure that they're going to sign a non-disclosure or be tight with you? Okay, that's Brad's suggestion. Thank you for listening, celebrity athletes and regular listeners alike. Let me know what you think. getoveryourselfpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for contributing to the show. And please, please, please leave a review on iTunes. We would sincerely appreciate it. It helps so much to increase the attention and prominence and listenership of the show. Thanks for listening to The Breather. Bye-bye. Hi, it's Brad to talk about ancestral supplements. Question for you. How's it going with the critically important health objective of consuming some of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet, namely bone marrow, collagen, and nose-to-tail organ meats like liver, heart, kidney, and more? Yeah, how's it going? Pretty poorly? How did I guess? I have to admit the same. I'm sorry, folks. I've known for a long time, since Dr. Kate Shanahan and her wonderful book, Deep Nutrition, emphasized that this is a sorely missing element of the modern diet, but a huge part of the ancestral diet that made humans the healthy creatures that they are today. And now we have a fantastic and convenient solution from Ancestral Supplements because they make New Zealand-sourced bone marrow and nose-to-tail organ meats, liver, heart, kidney, pancreas, spleen, and more, delivered in simple, convenient gelatin capsules. Oh my gosh, I love this product, and I love what this company's all about. Go on their website, ancestralsupplements.com, read one of the most impactful and inspiring mission statements you'll ever see from a company. Listen to how they describe their product. Traditional peoples, Native Americans, and early ancestral healers believed that eating the organs from a healthy animal would strengthen and support the health of the corresponding organ in the individual. The traditional way of treating a person with a weak heart was to feed the person the heart of a healthy animal. Sound hokey to you? I'm sorry, but this is extremely well supported, with scientific evidence confirming that these are the foods that our DNA evolved with and are sorely missing from the modern food supply. That's why Ancestral Supplements says that they're putting back in what the modern world has left out to return people back to strength, health, and happiness. And hey, if you're a clean living person that kind of doesn't like the idea of popping a bunch of synthetic vitamins in the name of health, going over to GNC and buying 12 bottles, this is an entirely different story. This is real food packaged conveniently so that you don't have to worry about your liver making skills or how to best cook a kidney. Just swallow the pills, man. I throw them in my smoothie every morning. So I'm taking about 4 or 5 capsules of the various ancestral supplement products. I'm throwing down the beef organs, the beef liver, the bone marrow. There's so many other ones on their absolutely fabulous and educational website. Thanks for trying it, ancestralsupplements.com. You will love it.